Alright guys, today we're going to be solving this optimization problem, finding the minimum length. The problem says, a farmer plants to fence a rectangular pasture adjacent to a river. See figure. The pasture must contain 245,000 square meters in order to provide enough grass for the herd. No fencing is needed along the river. What dimensions will require the least amount of fencing? From the information given, there are two equations we can write. One for the perimeter. Now looking at this figure, this rectangular pasture has three sides. One is x and two sides are y. So our perimeter would simply be x plus 2y. Now this will be our primary equation that we're going to try and optimize. Primary equation, we're going to optimize this one. Our secondary equation is going to be dealing with the area. They tell us the pasture must contain 245,000 square meters. So every rectangle we know is length times width. The area they give us here is 245,000 equal to x times y for length times width for this rectangle. We can now solve this for y, and we get 245,000 divided by x. This is our secondary equation, also known as the constraint. We can now take our primary equation, which is our perimeter, equal to x plus 2y, and we can substitute in what we calculated for y, 245,000 over x, and replace the y in the primary equation with 245,000 divided by x. We can then simplify this as x plus, in our calculator we can multiply 245,000 by 2. We get 490,000. I'm going to rewrite over x as x to the negative 1 power. We can now differentiate our perimeter equation, and we get derivative of x as 1 plus 490,000 as a constant times, now we differentiate x to negative 1 using the power rule. We get negative 1 times x, subtract 1 the exponent, to the negative 2 power, and this is now equal to 0. We set our derivative of our primary equation equal to 0 in order to calculate where the relative maximum and relative minimum in this case is. So we can now rewrite this as 1 minus 490,000 divided by x squared equal to 0. Moving the 1 over, we would have 1 equals 490,000 divided by x squared. We can now multiply both sides by x squared to get it out of our denominator. Multiply both sides by x squared. It will cancel on the right hand side of the equation, and we get simply x squared equals 490,000. We can then take the square root of both sides. We don't care about the negative answer. In geometry problems we want to look for the positive answer when we're taking square roots. So this would tell us, when you get the square root, it would tell us x is equal to the square root of this number is 700. Again, positive answers only. We can then solve for y. Recall y is equal to 245,000 divided by 700, in this case divided by x. 245,000 divided by 700. So we go back to our calculator. and divide it by 700. And this tells us y is equal to 350. So there we go. We've now optimized this pasture for having the least amount of perimeter fencing.